inside the team. Okay, and no problem, I have started the recording, and now let's start the class. So these 6 were discussed yesterday. Now we are moving to the next 6 styles of, sorry, these are not a style, these are types of interviews. So next is disciplinary. So what happens in disciplinary interview? Um, there are employees, I messed it with the other one yesterday, so this is the same one. Disciplinary is when there is one employee or there are 1 or 2 employees who are not following the rules of the organization. Their behavior is causing distress to other employees, or they are causing loss to the organization. There can be several reasons because of which any disciplinary action has to be taken. So what happens here? This is duly noted by the management, and an interview is scheduled where the alleged employee will have to turn up and will have to answer the questions being asked to him. So here they check whether the the originality of the problem or the complaint, whatever they have received against this person, they are genuine or not. If this person is facing any problem, or he has done it on purpose, whatever it is, here a kind of grilling is done, a kind of analysis is done with the help of question answers, and they prepare the charge sheet and all if they are found guilty. There are cases where people make gubbins, they do not there are irregularities which are followed by them. So for these purposes, these disciplinary interviews are called. After this, we'll come to the 9th one, correction interview. So whatever happens in the disciplinary interview, its result is somehow given in correction interview. What happens here? That this person who has been, earlier he was alleged, but now it is found out that whether he has made that particular action or not, is he guilty or not. So according to that, it might happen that someone is having a personal problem, and because of that they are behaving in this way. So what will be done? They will send for counseling, and then there are people who are doing it on purpose, so there will be actions against them, and that how this can be corrected. If there are monetary losses, there are certain times they are asked to pay them back, repay it. Whatever it is, whatever decision they take on the basis of disciplinary interview, that will be done in correction interview, and it will be implemented to the person who is concerned. So first there was action, and now here a kind of resolution is given, so that whatever harms have been done, they can be corrected. And this is why it is called our correction interview. Clear? These two are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we come to discussion interview. These discussion interviews are generally those interviews where people who are involved in a project, they are supposed to give small updates. Okay, the progress report is given by the team members to the team leader, or from the team leader to the other people in higher position. So these are discussion interviews. Here data is given, table is given, graph, everything, whatever information they have, the way they are progressing, all these information are given to the other person, and people sit together and discuss about the progress, if it is moving the right direction, if it is moving very fast, if it is very slow, if it is does that need any kind of improvement, more suggestions to improve the conditions. So you can see that main focus is on discussion. People sit together, they exchange the information with each other, so that they can improve the processes, and this is why we call them discussion interview. Now 10th one is our evaluation interview. So what happens here? Just like we have just been through the discussion interview, evaluation interview is also like that. But here they try to find out the real judgment. It's just like they have done a project, they have finished the project, so now the other party, the team, they are going to check whether this team was fit for it, the way they have done it, could they do a better job there, or they have done the perfect job. Evaluation will be done on the basis of all these information which are collected, and a kind of result is announced that it can be like, they, if they have implemented a policy, so after some time they will take data, people are happy with this policy or not, is it creating ruckus, is it has that been accepted by all the employees peacefully, so whether they should continue it or they should stop it, any kind of decision which is going to be taken on the basis of the data they have collected, that will be called evaluation interview. They are checking the worthiness, they are checking whether it is a failure or success, so, and this is why we call them evaluation interview. 11th one is exit interview. So I don't know if you people have heard about it. Any idea what is exit interview?
Ma'am, when a person leaves a company, this type of interviews will happen. Like, what did he like about the company? What made him come each and every day?
Yes, yes. Okay. Good answer, Gaja. This is correct. When people leave the companies, it can be because they are retiring, it can be because they are switching their jobs, their companies. Anyhow, these people are leaving their job. So, what happens? This kind of interview is generally organized to take their feedback about the working culture of the existing organization where they were working. So here they are supposed to give honest reviews. People who are already working and those who are not leaving, they will be a bit hesitant in giving the real feedback, the genuine feedback, because they might be apprehensive that there can be actions taken against them, so they will not share the real problems they are facing. So in this case, what happens? People who are leaving, they have no fear of these kind. They, because they already have a new place to work, so most of the times when they give the feedback, they are taken as genuine feedback. So those people who are leaving the organization, they sit with the panel and they tell them what are the good things about the company and what is the problem in the work culture which needs to be removed or which needs improvement there. And this is why we call them exit interview. People who are exiting the company, they give feedback to the existing company people so that they can improve their work culture. Finally, we have dummy or mock interview. So these are simulation exercises. These are not real interviews. Here they try to create an environment which is closer to the original one. So it's just like when you people go for your interview. Before that, there are mock interviews organized by institutions. So teachers sit together to form a panel, and students, they bring their CV and everything with them, and there we try to ask you questions so that you can have an idea how you should do it when when the real interview is there. So these can be for different purposes. Simulation exercises involved, so it can be for training purposes or it can be for teaching purposes. Here you will get an idea how real interviews will take place, but these are only copy of that. They are not real interviews. Okay, so these were the types of interview. You can see we have 12 types of interview. Uh, Here we have gone into too much detail when we discuss 12 interviews. There are several scholars, they have divided them in only 2 or 3 parts. One is information collecting interview, the other one is performance interview, and third is problem solving. So you can see that correction interview, discussion, disciplinary evaluation, they can be called problem solving interviews. And then there's data collection, If it is a job interview, it is a kind of selection interview. You can write them in 3 parts as well, but here when you get the detailed question, please go for all the types. At least 10 to 12 types of interviews should be discussed there in the answers. Okay, any query from these? Okay, so finally we are going to techniques of interview. There are generally 4 steps in which interviewer takes the interview. You can see that when we talk about these 4 steps, they are important from the points of view of both the parties, interviewer and interviewee. Both are taking part and both are doing the same thing. So what happens first? Questioning. So don't get alarmed if the interviewer tells you, do you have any question for us? This is a common question, and you people should prepare few questions which you are going to ask them if they ask you to do this. Okay, so for interviewers, they have a set of questions because the purpose is clear, and they are checking whether you will be a suitable candidate or not. So according to their questions, you are supposed to answer them. Here, when someone asks you a question, so they are not looking for the answer only, they are checking your personality, they are checking your communication skills, and on the basis of that, you are supposed to give the answer. So this questioning is not only for providing data, this is a kind of analysis. All of you know that there are 2 kinds of questions, open-ended and close-ended. Do you know what is the difference between them? Open-ended questions and close-ended questions. Anyone?
Ma'am, open-ended questions are subjective. They are open to different interpretations. Like different people can have different opinions. And close-ended are like everyone will objectively agree to one answer.
Okay, that can be one way of looking at the
When
type.
open question maybe like direct, we can say direct, and the other one we can say direct indirectly.
No, that is not true, Abhishek. Open-ended and close-ended, if I go for the simplified definition, open-ended questions are always, as Amisha said, they are subjective in nature. Here they are open for discussion. And when we say closed-ended question, there is only one answer to that question. It is generally yes or no, or there can be a data or something. The answer is fixed. It cannot differ from person to person. And in open-ended question, there is always a chance where people can have discussion and can have their own answers. And just because they have their own answer, they will have to justify them, and they have to discuss them. And this is why we call them subjective answers. So open-ended and closed-ended, both kind of questions are asked in the interview. And when interviewers are asking these questions, they are also being evaluated by the interviewee, because on the basis of the type of questions, they are also trying to understand what is their job going to be. Okay, what kind of workplace this is going to be, how do people work here, everything is discussed uh, according to the kind of questions they are facing. So this is why we are saying that both the parties are involved here. Questioning is uh, there are chances that they will ask you to ask a question, but even if you do not get that during the session, when you are facing those questions, continuously you are trying to understand what kind of workplace that is going to be. Second one is observation and listening. So observation and listening is when interviewer is asking the question, the interviewee is supposed to observe and listen. Most of the time questions may seem that they are direct questions, they are to the point question, but there can be something behind the lines, between the lines, and you will have to understand this. And for that purpose, listening carefully is very important. We have discussed how to listen and how to hear. There is a difference. So this is listening, this is an active exercise. You will have to check whether the next question, second question, is related to the first one or not, or if this question can be be a bit far sighted when you are dealing with the questions, because whatever you are going to say, the next question can come from there. So how both the parties are going to do this? If someone is not listening, they are just asking the questions, interviewer, they will forget how to evaluate this candidate. They are supposed to give marks, so they should observe and listen properly. And people who are replying, they should also be focused while they are listening and observing the question, so that they do not say anything which can pose problems to them for the next question. Okay, whatever you say there, everything will be evaluated minutely. They will criticize you minutely. So it is your duty to focus on while you are giving the answers. Third one is evaluating. So evaluation is, all of you know that when you give answers, there are certain parameters on the basis of which you are continuously being evaluated. Okay, so these are not for the sake of only employment interviews, job interviews. As I told you, there are discussion interviews or evaluation interviews where policies are being evaluated, whether they are worthy or not, they are fulfilling their jobs or not. Anyhow, what is happening here, people are trying to check whether you have good perspective or not. Do you use your logics well or not, or are your objectives clear? Everything is being evaluated here, and both the parties are doing it. When it's not like interviewee is not doing it. They, on the basis of the questions, the types of questions they are posing to them, on the basis of that, interviewees are also assessing the type of work or the type of company where they are going to work. Finally, we have controlling. So controlling is certain times people, they get deviated from the topic. It's just like in interviews, you are communicating with someone, so there are times when you forget the objective and you get involved in the conversation too much. So this is the place for interviewer to keep it in certain direction. They should always remember the objective of the interview, why they are conducting it, and what outcome they are expecting. So if they do not check the suitability of the candidate on the expected criteria, they will have to face problems later, because they will forget they have forgotten how to check the employee. So whenever there is deviation, whenever there is distraction, it is their job to bring the interview back on the track by asking questions which are related to the position which is being offered there. In the same way, interviewee, they can also do it whenever they see that interview is going out of their hands. It happens very frequently, from one question to another question. Things, you have a talent, you have certain qualities which you have already mentioned, but after being being questioned about them, something strange can come into it. Okay, something which you are not familiar with, they start asking about it. So here it's your duty, it's your job to bring the interview back on the track by saying something which will bring or remind them that okay, and this is going to be out of your profile, this is not something related to your job which is being offered to you. So in this way, both the parties have this duty to keep a control over the interview, so people do not deviate from the topic, they do not deviate from the main activity. Generally, these are the techniques which are involved when they take any interview, not only job interview, any interview: questioning, observation, evaluating, and controlling. Are these clear? They are very simple.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we are moving to the style of interview. All the types of interviews which we have discussed, there are style in which they will be taken. It's just like we have recently discussed job interview. This job interview, this can be stress interview, this can be depth interview, and this can be done in both the ways. How these are done, what is the style, and how they question people, that is being discussed here. First one is direct interview, as we have been discussing this for 2 days. Questions are there. These questions are related. They are seeking some data there. They are seeking some information. When they are direct questions, where you can give the answers on the basis of your experience, your education, then they will be called your direct interview. Second one is our indirect interview. What happens in indirect interview? These are a bit difficult. They do not pose the questions directly. They give you a kind of situation. They give you a kind of question where you have to perform. It's just like when you go for an interview and they tell you that you will have to give a presentation here. So now they have not given any question to you. They, even then you are going to be evaluated with there. How? The way you will give your presentation on that topic, from that topic they will ask you the question, and during that they will check whether your time management is good, your communication is good, whether you are able to answer all the questions or not, how do you pronounce words. Okay, so everything is being evaluated, and they have not asked you any question there. So here what happens, there are no direct questions or comments, and certain times you will find out there are no set format as well. It's not like always they tell you that go for a presentation. All of you know that group discussions are also part of interview process. So what is happening there? They are not asking you any question. They have just given you a topic, and you are having a discussion with other applicants, and they are observing you. So this is also a kind of indirect interview. With the help of this, they always check what are your strengths, what are your weakness, what is your potential. If it is something controversial and you start yelling at the top of your voice, you are gone there. You know this because they have observed what kind of personality you have. So these indirect interviews have no set pattern, and here they do not ask you any question, but because they have made you do something, with the help of that they are going to check everything they want you from you. Okay, so do you understand this indirect interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Let me
Yes,
give you
ma'am.
one example here. If someone asks you that what growth opportunities do you think this role will provide? So what kind of question this is? They are asking you what growth opportunities are there in this role. So they are not looking for the data. They are trying to check what do you expect from this in this particular job, from this particular company if you join the job. So they you have to give them an answer where you will show that you have researched about this company properly, plus what is your expectation. So indirectly they are asking your expectation. What is, how, for how many hours you are going to work, what kind of salary you are looking for, what kind of perks you are looking for. Everything will be revealed if you answer this question. So this is not a direct question, this is an indirect question. Next is pattern interview. These are very simple. These are mostly done for survey purposes. So there are set questions, and different people are involved in this. It's just like when we go for survey, for even for research purposes. It's just like in your library, they want to include 100 new titles. So they might publish a list of new titles, and they will circulate it. So the format should be, or this format will be similar. There will be similar forms, and whomsoever turns up that day for borrowing a book, they can ask them to tick the answers. So this is also a kind of interview. Here questions are set. They are patterned questions, and they are similar to each other, and all the applicants, all the respondents, they are asked the similar questions, and this is why we call them patterned interviews. The pattern is fixed. Fourth is stress interview. This is a bit difficult and very popular. Here the motive or the main objective of the interviewers is to pressurize the candidate. They want to see how this particular candidate behaves and performs under stress. And for this purpose, they use certain techniques. And the most common one is yelling or shouting. They keep shouting at the candidate. Whatever answer they get from them, they keep getting angry at those people. Whatever you are saying is wrong, this answer is wrong, you have no idea, you have not studied anything. So when you are attacked personally like this, there are people who lose their mind. Okay, so this is not something you are supposed to do. And then there are other people as well. They do not speak much. They ask you a question, then they observe silence for like, you will keep repeating, or you will give your answer, and even then they will keep looking at you without saying anything. So here also the other person is creating a kind of stress on you. So with the help of anger, silence, or grilling, they try to create stress, and the main objective is that they want to see how do you react under pressure. And these are generally, although we have heard about them very frequently, but when there are sales jobs, jobs in sales department or in marketing department, they generally put a stress interview, because these people have to be in those situations very frequently. Or these are done when the profile is for someone who is in high authority, because they will have to be under pressure for a longer time. So generally they face stress interview. But in job interviews, these are very common. If you happen to have time and you go for those mock interviews which are uploaded on YouTube, especially for IAS purposes, you will see that how do they create a stress by simply telling them, you should not have done this, why have you done this, what is the point of going for this degree with this degree, why did you opt for this subject with this subject, this is useless. Okay, or I don't think a girl of your caliber can crack this kind of exams. So direct challenges are thrown at these people, and they are supposed to keep their calm and composure there, and deal with the situation very patiently. Next is depth interview. So what happens here? Here a series of questions are posed. They do not ask one or two questions, rather they ask you several questions. These questions are related to each other, and they are focused on one topic. So they are trying to check your knowledge about that particular subject. It's just like if you have given your area of interest to them, you told them this is my favorite subject, you told them the physics is your first favorite subject. So now they will take a theorem or something, and one after another they will keep asking you questions, and you will have to give the answer. So this is called depth interview. They are trying to check the information and knowledge in depth, whatever you are claiming, whether you possess that or not. Next is board interview. Board interview is very simple. Here, instead of one person, there is a group of people who will sit as the interviewer. Collectively, they are called sorry, I have missed one, I think. Board interview. We are discussing board interview. Okay. So in the board interview, this group of people, that they will be called board or panel. Okay, generally we say the panel was there. So by panel we mean that there are at least 2 to 3 people in the in the interview board or interview panel. So here respondent is single, but the people who are taking the interview, they are many in number, more than 2. So then they become the board or panel. 7th is group interview. Here the role is reversed. Generally there are one person who is taking the interview, but people who are giving the interview, there are more than 2 there. Okay, so there can be several people who will turn up for this interview, and they are made to have communication with each other. They converse with each other, and the job of the interviewer is to observe them. Although certain times it might happen that even interviewers are present in groups, so there can be more than 2 interviewers and there can be more than 2 respondents there, and they sit together, they discuss things, they observe each other. Certain times these interviews range from 1 to 2 days or 3 days, so they stay in the same place, and over the time, over the meetings, they discuss things. So these are called group interviews. These are generally internal organizational, where they have deals done, most of the business is done, so they are called group interview. Finally, we come to online interview. All of you must have heard about this. Any idea what is an online interview? Okay, no one is ready to share. Look, in online interview, everything is similar. It can be a depth interview with the help of online interview. It can be a patterned interview with the help of online interview. Stress, any kind of interview. It can be job interview. It can be stress, your exit interview. It can be your appraisal interview. Online is a method, that is just a platform. Instead of meeting face to face, here people take help of internet. With the help of internet and any of the platform, any of the professional platform where audio visual is available, they collect together, they sit together and have this exercise. So there are few things which we should remember when we go for online interview. First of all, always remember, just because they are taking this interview from your home, this doesn't mean that this is a casual exercise. This is not informal, this is formal. So always get ready formally, always wear your neat and clean dress, most probably not fancy, official. All of you know what is a formal dress, so dress accordingly. For girls, it is always suggested that do not wear very flowy garments, and vibrant colors should not be included. Sober personality of yours. In the same manner, for boys, you should get your hair done, trim your beard, and always wear a tie, and do not wear heavy jewelry there. So these kind of things should be observed when you are going for online interviews. Second thing is, always keep an ID ready, because you are not meeting these people directly, and they cannot check your credentials. So always keep a photo ID ready, so that you can verify that I am the person who is claiming to be me. So what happens generally, people do not keep it ready. They think, okay, I have submitted, I have sent my resume, I have submitted everything, so I don't need it. Always keep a file of soft copies ready in your desktop, so if they ask for anything, you can upload it. And whenever because they will ask you for your ID, so always keep it. It should not happen, okay, give me a minute, I'll go and get it. That is wrong. It shows that you were not ready, you did not evaluated it well. Always choose a place which is quiet. Generally, when you people take your classes, this is something happening over 3 to 4 months, whole of the day, so you cannot ask your family members to be quiet whole day. So we understand that, but when you go for interview, that is hardly of 20 to 30 minutes or 1 hour. Although it never goes up to that level, 20 to 30 minutes are enough. So always choose a place which is well lit, They should not complain that they are unable to look at you. Check your camera beforehand, check your audio beforehand, your mic, your headphones, every should be in working condition. And when you open your camera, please check your background. If it is a wall or a curtain, that is best. And even if you are revealing more, because most of us are struggling with low space. We have small houses, some have very big houses, but then we are also there who have problem of space. So no problem, always check the background beforehand, that it is a tidy place. That's all we are looking for. And that people are not moving in the background, and there are no noises, especially when you are speaking. These are the things which we observe. Otherwise, most of the things will remain same. A steady connection will be a good idea there. For that day at least, you should try to use some sim or connection which is steady, so you don't have to tell them, okay, I could not listen to you. Okay, so these are the general things. So these are the interview styles. These are general 8 styles in which interviews are taken. Now we are moving to the process. We have discussed the technique. When we talk about process, these are the 11 points. These are the 11 steps which are generally followed throughout the process of interview. But again, I'm saying this is generally. There are no strict rules. Some of the steps can be eliminated. Some of the new steps can be included. They are very general. So let's look into them. First is opening. All of you know that when you go for an interview, the way you knock on the door, the way you enter and you wish, that is also very important. They keep on evaluating you throughout the interview. So whenever you go for this, do not bang on the door. There should be a polite knock there. Okay, when you heard come in, when you hear come in, then only enter the room. Walk with steady foot. Your walk should be a confident one. In your body language session, you must have looked how someone should look confident, when your head is straight, when your shoulders are erect, and you have your hands in proper position, they are not hanging by your side, then it looks good. It shows that you are a confident person. So you should be active there. You should be careful that people are observing you. You should look confident. So walk to the table or wherever or to the chair where you are supposed to sit, and wait there. Just don't go and sit on it until you are asked. They are going to ask you. Before that, you are supposed to wish them. Okay, so make an eye contact with everyone who is present. If there are 5 people, you will have to say good morning or good evening, whatever greeting you are giving them, 5 times. Okay, so look at everyone and share your eye contact with everyone and wish all of them, and then they'll ask you to sit down. So this is the opening. This is the general opening. Both the parties exchange pleasantries there. They greet each other. Then object of the interview comes. So here the people who are taking the interview, they generally inform you for what position this interview is, and what do they expect from you. Then the interview starts. So here what happens, the third point and the fourth point, they are generally combined. They ask you questions which will put you in the comfortable atmosphere there. They generally ask you to introduce yourself or give your introduction. Okay, so there are 2 questions generally. One is introduce yourself, and the second one is tell us something about yourself. So they sound similar, although there are few people who fuss a lot about this, that they are different. When someone asks you that tell me something about yourself, you are not supposed to give the details. Rather, you should tell them what kind of a person you are, what you are interested in, what is your nature, everything related to that. And when someone says give your introduction, you are supposed to give the detail of your education, your birth date, your whatever experience you have for till that day. Everything should be included in that. So here what is happening, simple questions are asked so that a kind of comfortable atmosphere is created where both the parties are comfortable in communicating with each other. Then there is recalling time. So certain time it happens that questions when they are asked, people take time in replying to that. So this is interviewers job, it is their duty to give them this time so that people can recall or people can recollect what they have forgotten. So you will meet these kind of people as well. In the 7th point we have written encouragement. So when we talk about stress interviews, people are generally very critical, but time and again we meet those kind of people who appreciate us. Whenever you give a good answer, they tell you that was a good answer. Okay, you are the first candidate who could answer that. I'm really impressed with the way you have answered it. So these kind of encouragements are given, and ultimately they are creating an atmosphere where everyone is comfortable, so that your good qualities can come out. If someone keeps yelling at you, after some time you start feeling disappointed, discouraged. So contrary to that, here when people appreciate you, tell you that you are doing good, you are encouraged. Okay, objective question is there. But when we say objective questions, these are those questions which are looking for exact data. So if they ask how many years of experience do you have, how many projects you have handled single-handedly, what kind of salary you are expecting, these are all objective questions related to the position. 8th is direction. We have discussed it in controlling, that if someone is losing the track in which direction it should have gone, rather than going into that they are distracted, both the parties have this duty to bring it back on the track. 9th is note taking. Note taking is part of evaluation. Whenever you go for debate or group discussion, you will see that people keep noting down things. There are certain parameters. On these parameters, they are supposed to give you marks. They are supposed to evaluate you. The same thing happens here as well. In the interviews, they have certain parameters. They do not leave it on the memory because there are several applicants there. They will mess it up at the end. So while you give your answers on the basis of their parameters, it can be, how logical you are, how quick you are, how timely you reply to it, your body language, your communication skills, your grooming, personality, whatever it is, how many, they can have several parameters there. According to that, they keep evaluating you, they keep giving you marks so that they can make a total of that later, at the later stage where they have to decide which candidate was the best one. Okay, so note taking is also important. Certain times they have to give the minutes as well. Do you have any idea what is minutes? There is a document called minutes. What do we mean by that? Am I audible or not?
Yes, ma'am, no idea.
Okay, no problem. That is not a problem. But it should not happen that I have finished the topic and you people did not listen anything. The minutes are, when they are meetings, when they are any kind of meeting, people generally have to present a kind of, series of events, how they happened, what they did there, all the actions, all the discussion that took place during that meeting according to the time. Okay, from 1 to 1:15 this topic was discussed, from 1:15 to 1:20 this was discussed. In this way minutes are prepared, according to the minutes they are prepared. This is why we call them minutes. It's just like you are taking part in conference and seminar. So throughout the day there will be one person who will keep a track of events, when something is started and when something was finished. So ultimately they are going to submit it to the authorities at the end of the day. So this particular document will be called minutes. Okay, so note taking is very important. They keep noting the important things there. Finally, conclusion. So when this activity gets over, you are informed, okay, thank you for coming, or that was a nice discussion with you, that was nice talking to you. In this way, they tell you that this got over, this exercise got over, and you are supposed to leave the room now. Okay, so this is the conclusion in this particular part, because if you they do not tell you that this is over, it means you are supposed to stay there, and this is why it is important for them to inform it to the candidate that the exercise has come to an end. Finally, report is there, so whatever notes they have made, on the basis of that they are going to prepare a report and submit it to the authorities who are going to announce the results. So everything is reported to them. This is the simple process of interviewing, and this is how interviews are done generally. Any query from this? Otherwise, we will move to the last part of this topic. I can see only 70 students have joined this meeting. They are going to find it very difficult when they are supposed to answer these. I'm going to give an assignment on the basis of this. This is why I have conducted this lecture today on a off day. Anyway, this is their responsibility. Let's move to the next part. So here we have included few of the errors which interviewers commit, and when you look at them, you can understand why we have included them. FAQs are available on all over the internet from the point of view of interviewees, but you should understand what these interviewers are looking for and how do they make these errors, and with because of these they ruin the process for themselves. So what are these? Robert Minter was a scholar, and he has found out that there are certain errors which interviewers commit. So this is especially for employment purpose. Too much talking and too little listening, resulting in sketchy information. Their job is to observe as well. Okay, listening and observing is also important for interviewers. So then what happens? We come across those kind of people who are close-minded. We had discussed it in the starting unit that they are people who think they know best. So they keep boasting about themselves, and they keep sharing their experiences, and they do not listen to the employee, the prospective employee, and in this way what happens? They do not collect enough data, enough information. Second is not including indicating purpose of interview. So yes, we know that while it was advertised in the vacancy, they have announced why they are conducting the interview, but even then this is the job of the interviewer, that they inform the interviewee that what they are looking for exactly. So if they do not do this, they do not restate the purpose, they are leaving the candidates a bit baffled. It is up to their understanding what they are thinking in their mind. So it is always the job of the interviewer to inform the purpose. Asking irrelevant questions or questions whose answers are already on the resume. So this is something controversial, because people ask questions which are related or which are already written in the resume, so that they can check the genuineness of the candidate and the authenticity of the candidate. But yes, if it goes beyond the limit, or if whole of the interview is based on the resume only, then it will become irrelevant. So they should include more questions. They should try to make explanation, sorry, they should try to get explanation more with the help of other questions. Having vague objectives and discussing whatever comes at the moment. So this is where people get distracted, because they have not done their homework. They do not know what is the purpose or the objective. So whatever comes, they keep probing about those things, and they frame questions from there. So what happens? They lose the objective and they do not ask good questions or pertinent questions. Providing job and company information too early in the interview. So it's just like if you have not decided that this candidate is good, you have not checked that whether this particular person is suitable candidate or not, and you start discussing the salary, you start telling them the perks. This is useless. This is wastage of time. That person, if he gets selected, or if you see after grilling him for a long time, you see that this person has potential, then it is probably the good time to to reveal the information. Otherwise there is no point of doing that. Attempting an in-depth personality assessment, we all know there are certain tests, personality tests, with the help of which you can understand a person. But when we talk about interviews, these are not the it's not possible to do in-depth personality tests or assessment in short given time. So one or two questions are important, but if you go after understanding everything about that person, you will not be able to finish the exercise. Providing stress question situations in which to observe behavior. So there can be, the job profile can be for something different, and you put questions which are creating stress only. So this is not good for every profile. We should preferably check the profile which is in question or is in offer, and according to that we should create the questions. Overreacting to non-verbal cues resulting in a stereotyped impression of the applicant. So happens here, that people observe non-verbal language. When you people might have, I think you people have learned this one. Change this. Every time this creates a problem. Yes, so non-verbal cues are, it's just like if someone is wiping the sweat very frequently. So you think that this person is nervous, but it might happen because that day the heat is high. Okay, it's a hot day. Because of that, that person might be wiping the sweat. Or there are people who come from different temperature, from different geographical area to do different places, so they can have different reactions. So because of that also it can happen. So if someone focuses on non-verbal cues too much, they will not get the exact information they are looking for. Not having sufficient information about the particular job for which he is interviewing. So there are several times external examiners or external interviewers are called. So it is their duty to find out why they are interviewing someone for, they should have every information about the job position. Getting tired by interviewing too many applicants in a short period of time. So this also happens, and the list of candidates is quite long and time allotted to them is short. So after some time they feel tired. And what will happen if they are tired? They are not listening, they are not observing. So in this way they cannot give the accurate judgment. Overemphasizing or misusing test results. So there are written tests or other tests as well, certain times done before the exact interview face to face. So PI, which is called personal interview. So before that there are certain tests. So do not every step carries certain marks. They have different criteria according to which they give marks. So PI should not be, one should not be biased according to the prior results. Here in PI, they should focus on other things as well. Attempting a thorough interview in a limited 10 or 15 minutes. So we have discussed it. In-depth interview is not possible when time is short. Misinterpreting reference letters. So all of you know that when you go for any job, you are supposed to give references. It can be from someone who is from the industry, or someone from your educational institute, like your head of the department. They give you reference letters. So here one should not give too much focus or too much importance to these letters, and at the same time they should not under estimate them as well. If they have reference letters, they have certain, these reference letters have some importance there, and according to that importance they should be taken. Finally, overselling the job and company, resulting in false hopes and expectations. So here what happens, there are people who get very excited, even their small companies, so they promise something which they cannot provide to their employees. So ultimately they are coming to workplace, when they find out that whatever promises you made, you are unable to provide anything according to that, they will leave the job. So there is no point of doing that. Do not give false hopes to anyone. Whatever is the reality, as much you can provide, interviewer should promise only that much. So telling someone that this is a great workplace and then showing them an office where only 4 to 5 rooms are available, that is not a good idea. Whatever is the reality, the real condition should be intimated to the applicants. These are the certain errors which are committed by the interviewer, and they should try to refrain from them. Anything which is not clear to you people from this lecture, all of the lecture? Okay, let me take the attendance. Okay, so as I can see that you people have no queries, I'll end it here. We'll meet in the next lecture. That will be the last lecture, I guess. Thank you. Yes, Amisha.
Ma'am, could you please upload the PDF PPTs of these chapters, interview skills and feedback mechanism?
Okay. I'll do that right away. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, and also happy Teachers Day, ma'am, in advance.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.